It is safer in the United States to be a turtle egg or an eagle egg than it is to be a fetus inside a mother's womb. Why is that, you ask? Well, there are hefty penalties, fines, and imprisonment for people who destroy turtle eggs or eagle eggs. However, we don't have the same fines for anyone who wants to commit an abortion. Abortions are perfectly legal, thanks to Roe v. Wade, which passed in 1973. Since Roe v. Wade, in case you don't know, 60 million babies have lost their lives. Imagine, these could have been the next scientists, the next teachers, the next doctors, the next lawyers, the next big influencers, the next politicians, but we've destroyed them. This is the equivalent of the size of the nation of Italy. So we have destroyed them through our will. Now, this is not talking about the small percentage of cases that are rape or incest. We don't legislate by the exceptions, and less than 1% of all abortions that occur are rape and incest. The cases we're talking about are the ones that are done out of inconvenience. The idea that a woman can just realize that, hey, this baby inside of me is an inconvenience. But rather than call the baby a baby, which is what the baby is, or a person and confer personhood, and be honest about this, because personhood and human life both begin at conception. It is completely arbitrary to try to claim that human life does not begin at conception or personhood is not conferred until the baby passes through the canal. Now, you recall the hostility towards Brett Kavanaugh a couple of years ago with his Supreme Court nomination. And the hostility came from mainly Democrats, or maybe only Democrats. We also had some similar hostility with Amy Coney Barrett lately. The hostility was because these two were pro-life. I'm pro-life as well. Why am I pro-life? Well, let me tell you why. A number of years ago, in my late 30s, I found myself pregnant with my second son. This was my third pregnancy. The first one I lost, unfortunately, in a miscarriage. At 15 weeks, my doctor advised me to go get an ultrasound and an amniocentesis, which I did. So I went to the amniocentesis and I looked at the little baby inside of me and I was just overjoyed. In fact, I still retain the picture, this cute little picture of this little baby inside of me, just adorable. And as I was looking at him and admiring him and just so appreciative that the Lord has given me this gorgeous little baby inside of me, I heard the nurse say, oh, he has echogenic heart and echogenic bowels. Therefore, he has 2 soft markers for Down syndrome. But don't worry, you can terminate the pregnancy. I thought, terminate the pregnancy? This is my son. You just referred to him in such a dehumanizing manner. Of course, I'm not going to terminate the pregnancy. That was never an option in my mind or my husband's mind. We would never do that. Instead, I spent the next few days combing through the internet to find out what it would be like to be a Down mom. Well, it turns out my son was born without Down syndrome. And today he's thriving, as is my other son. I'm very thankful to have them. As a mother, you realize that the purpose of our uterus is for one thing, and it's not us. The purpose of our uterus, which God gave us, is for our baby. It's to form a baby. In fact, during menstruation, what a uterus does is it goes through the process each month to bring a baby into this world should fertilization occur. So when fertilization occurs, a life is formed. Now, as you probably recall in the United States, some laws we have, we know that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, the right to life, the right to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, a woman's right to liberty should not impede a baby's right to life. The baby is inside the woman. The woman is pro-choice. She had the choice to go commit the act that resulted in the baby's fertilization. Okay, so now we're going to hear what is said about Brett Kavanaugh by Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a political commentator, really good guy. He runs the channel called The Daily Wire. I agree with just about all of his opinions, except for the fact that he's Jewish and I'm Christian. Other than that, we do hold the same foundational values. But before we go to that, I just want to point out something that's been found by Jonathan Haidt and some other researchers. They found that there's variation between Democrats and Republicans in moral foundations, what we hold to be important. Democrats tend to favor care versus harm and fairness. And Republicans favor those too, but they also consider pretty strongly this idea of loyalty, authority, we respect authority, sanctity or purity, and that of course includes the sanctity of life and the purity of life, and liberty. Okay, so we more equally value these different moral foundations. And so here we go with Ben Shapiro.
Of the chaos regarding the nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh, we should remember one simple fact. If Kavanaugh were pro-choice, he would have been confirmed with 100 votes. He's clearly not an advocate for abortion, but Democrats didn't have the votes to stop him. So instead, Democrats decided to slander him as a gang rapist. Remember, Democratic opposition to Kavanaugh started not with Christine Blasey Ford, but with women in Handmaid's Tale outfits occupying the Senate confirmation hearing room, and pro-abortion protesters being dragged out of the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's not a shock that Planned Parenthood, the organization responsible for hundreds of thousands of abortions per year, openly threatens senators in poetry. Quote, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Senators vote no on Kavanaugh, or else we're coming for you. Hashtag National Poetry Day, hashtag Stop Kavanaugh." Now that's romance. Abortion, to the vast majority of the political left, is a sacrament. It's not merely a political issue. It is a defining character issue. If you are pro-abortion, you're a good, generous, decent person who values women. If you are pro-life, you are an evil, repressive, nasty person who wants to control women's bodies. It's that view that leads to incidents like this one, in which a pro-life advocate was kicked in the face by a pro-abortion nutcase this week.
It's a baby. If someone was raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
Just beautiful, isn't that? Here you've got a male standing in front of female telling her that she should be pro-choice. It's just terrible.
I meant to get your phone.
The pro-abortion movement suggests that pro-lifers are extreme. In reality, the extreme position on abortion is held by the Democratic Party. Their platform calls for legal abortion all the way until point of birth. But pro-abortion extremists get away with their rhetoric because they use euphemistic language to describe what exactly abortion is. In fact, the word abortion is itself a euphemism. The procedure of abortion isn't an anodyne polyp removal. It involves doing terminal violence to an unborn child. Ignoring that fact allows abortion advocates to avoid looking reality directly in the face. So, for just a few moments, let's look reality in the face. This is a picture of a 19-week-old baby. This is a human child. This is not a ball of goo. This is not a cluster of cells. In January, 44 Democrats in the United States Senate voted not to protect the rights of babies older than this unborn child. Only 3 Democrats, Joe Manchin, Joe Donnelly, and Bob Casey, voted to protect children at 20 weeks. Only 2 Republicans voted against such protection, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. Take a good look at that baby. That is a human being with 0 rights, according to the mainstream of the Democratic Party. And human life doesn't begin at 20 weeks. This is a picture of a baby at 12 weeks, barely 3 months. You can see this baby with his hands near his chest. This is not a cluster of cells. This is not a ball of goo. His genitalia have already been formed. His liver and spleen produce red blood cells. This is an unborn human being. Not a single federally elected Democrat would vote for an abortion ban that would protect this baby's life. And life doesn't begin at 14 weeks. This is a picture of an unborn human being at 8 weeks. You can identify the head of this unborn human. You can see where the small buds are forming for arms and legs. But guess what? Life doesn't begin at 8 weeks either. It begins at fertilization, when a new human life is formed, a new human being with its own DNA. This human being is not its mother. It is not its father. It is not a polyp. If we found a human embryo on another planet, the headlines would rightly scream, "Human life found on Mars." Human life is a continuous process of growth from the moment of fertilization onward. Abortion is the killing of this human life. The later the abortion takes place, the more brutal the procedure. But no matter the brutality of the procedure, it is obvious that abortion is not some mere optional surgery to be performed for convenience. And it's even more obvious that those who want to protect the lives of the unborn aren't trying to control women's bodies. Those who cherish abortion are trying to control and dismember the bodies of the unborn. Think about that next time you see a radical feminist in a Handmaid's Tale outfit suggesting that you'd better respect her right to carve apart an unborn baby in the womb, or you're some sort of fascist. No more euphemisms. In all of the
He does a phenomenal job on that. And so I want to bring attention to another video that he's made.
What I'm about to show you right now is a picture of a baby. Okay, this is a baby it was a picture of a baby that was aborted by Kermit Gosnell. Okay, this is the Gosnell was somebody who was not covered by the media in any way, shape, or form. He was the most prolific serial killer probably in American history, and this was a baby girl aborted by Kermit Gosnell, and the only question was whether it was legal for him to kill this baby or not. And the only question there was how old was the baby, and was the abortion done inside the womb or outside the womb? Okay, so this baby, I believe, was after the 24-week cutoff, but not by much. So this baby is let's see how old this baby is. This is a case where an abortion went awry. She went to a hospital, and the baby ended up dying at the hospital. By 24 weeks, most babies born prematurely will survive. This is a late-term abortion, okay? This is what her baby looks like in the womb. We can see that picture again. That's what that baby looks like. This is a less graphic picture of what an abortion looks like, okay? A more graphic picture of what abortion looks like involves the snipping off of the crushing of the skull, the sucking out of the brains. It involves, and these are fully formed children. These are fully formed children. I have 2 beautiful children. The idea that you get to murder a kid. Okay, no one has a right to choose that picture. Go back to the other one. No one has a right to choose this. No one. No one has a right to choose this. You don't have a right to choose this, okay? That's a baby. You don't get to kill it just because it's convenient to you. You don't have a right to say, it's my decision where and when and how to have the baby. That's an individual human being, and if that baby were outside the womb and you stuck a knife through its chest, you'd be charged with first-degree murder. You kill it in the womb, and we call it a human right. That's not a human right because that's a human, and that human doesn't have any rights because you just decided its rights are less important than your right to your own convenience. Despicable. Despicable. And so we're now going to play a game with the left. Let's play a little game with the left. The game goes like this, okay? Show the other image. The game goes like this. At which point should you be able to kill this baby? Okay, we're going to play a game called When Should You Be Able to Kill This Baby? Because I've been told by people like Hillary Clinton that you're able to kill this baby all the way up to the very end, right? 32 to 30 weeks. Right? And that's when the baby is fully formed. It can be born alive. It is a fully formed human being. I've watched 2 of them come out of my wife. These are human beings. These are not balls of tissue. These are not clusters of cells. And I'm sick of being told that it's just an abortion. I don't like the euphemisms. It's not a termination of a pregnancy. It's a termination of a human life. Okay, it's a murder of a human being when you're talking about these babies and this idea that you get to choose that. Look, you got to choose a lot of things in life. You don't get to choose another human being's death. That's not something you get to choose. So when is it okay to kill this? When is it okay to kill this? Is it okay to kill this thing at week 14 when the heart is pumping several quarts of blood through the body every day? How about week 15 when the baby has an adult's taste buds? How about month 4 when the bone marrow is beginning to form? How about that? Or how about weeks 9 and 10 when the baby's teeth are already beginning to form? Its fingernails are already beginning to develop. We're talking about 2 months old, right? The baby can turn the head and frown. The baby can hiccup. Is that okay to kill? How about week 4? By the end of the week 4, the kid is already 10,000 times larger than the fertilized eggs was. There's already the beginnings of eyes and legs and hands. There are already brain waves detectable. Mouth and lips are present. Fingernails are forming. How about week 3? By the end of the 3rd week, the kid's backbone and spinal column and nervous system are forming. The liver and kidneys and intestines are beginning to take shape. How about day 22? The heart's already beating with the child's blood, which may be of a different blood type than the mother. So where in here exactly do you think it's okay to murder that kid because you have a personal convenience issue? Where do you think that you're right? And I love the glowing way she presents this. Here I am. I can't be a bad woman because I'm pregnant. I can't hate babies. I mean, here I am. I'm pregnant. Well, if you don't hate babies or if you're not interested in killing them, then why are you in favor of people being allowed to kill them? Okay, this is not a matter of a woman's right to choose. A slave owner didn't get to choose to hold slaves. Nazis didn't get to decide which Jews got to live. And don't give me the it's legal, therefore it's okay. Lots of things were legal. Lots of things in human history have been legal that were totally evil. Okay, it is evil to suggest, as Hillary Clinton does, that the minute before a baby is born, you should be able to drag it by the feet out of the mother, except for the head, stick a scissors in there, ram it into the baby's skull, rip the skull open, suck the brains out, crushing it, and then pull it out. Hillary believes that that's something you should be allowed to do.
And that's pretty ridiculous, don't you think? One of the things is they'll try to say that the baby is not a person. Personhood is not conferred until the birth canal, until the baby comes through the birth canal. And that's baloney. It's completely arbitrary and unfair. And it's egregious. It's morally atrocious to do this to babies. But yet we're seeing this every single day. An abortion is occurring probably right now. Many of them are occurring as I speak, which is very sad. So I hope you like, subscribe, and do come again. And remember, whether you eat, drink, or whatever you do, Do it all for the glory of God.